For thousands of years, humans have ruled the top of the food chain. We've built cities, industries, and empires with barely any fear of predators. But what if the balance shifted? What if suddenly, humans became the prey instead of the hunters? Imagine a world where something, natural or engineered, threatens our survival directly. Picture creatures evolving to outsmart, outrun, and overpower even our best defenses. Would our cities become fortresses, or deserted ruins haunted by hunting predators? Let's step into this terrifying possibility and explore how life could change. First, how could humans fall from dominance so dramatically and so fast? One possibility, genetic engineering gone wrong, unleashing apex predators beyond human control. Another, environmental collapse pushing desperate animals to evolve aggressive survival traits. Or maybe, ancient species long hidden emerge, stronger and more dangerous than ever. At first, attacks would be isolated, strange disappearances in remote wilderness areas. Authorities would blame accidents, lost hikers, or rogue animal attacks without deeper investigation. But soon, the pattern would grow, missing persons skyrocketing in once safe suburban regions. News stations would flash warnings urging citizens to stay indoors at night. Schools would implement predator lockdown drills, just like fire and earthquake protocols today. Children would be taught survival tactics before they even learn algebra or history. Towns near forests and mountains would see mass migrations to urban centers. People would abandon beautiful countryside homes in favor of concrete jungles for safety. Farms and ranches would collapse, leading to widespread food shortages and economic devastation. Police forces would transform into paramilitary units trained for predator containment. Specialized predator response teams would patrol city perimeters night and day. Sirens would wail not for storms or fires, but for predator sightings. Weapon ownership would skyrocket among civilians desperate for self-protection. Manufacturers would create new weapons specifically designed for apex predator encounters. Shops would sell electric nets, sonic deterrents, high-powered thermal imaging systems for homes. Night travel would become nearly impossible without heavy security and government approval. Curfews would be enforced nationwide, with violations carrying steep fines, or worse consequences. Society would shift into survival mode, prioritizing defense over almost everything else. Air traffic might become the new normal for long-distance travel. Helicopters and drones would monitor wilderness areas for predator movements constantly. Forests once cherished for hiking and camping would be declared permanent danger zones. Cities would build massive walls reinforced with advanced tech and automated defenses. Artificial intelligence would monitor movements at city borders, alerting at the slightest anomaly. Every major metropolitan area would resemble a militarized fortress from a dystopian novel. Scientists would scramble to study the new predators desperately looking for weaknesses. Biologists would work overtime trying to develop repellents, traps, or even control mechanisms. But the predators, adapting faster than ever, would stay one step ahead always. Could humanity regain its throne at the top of the food chain? Perhaps some nations would try to bioengineer human enhancements for survival advantages. CRISPR technology could modify humans for speed, strength, night vision, even rapid healing. This new chapter of human evolution could spark horrifying ethical debates globally. Would you agree to genetic modification if it meant a chance to survive? Would entire generations of superhumans be raised just to battle apex predators? Meanwhile, religious groups might interpret this new predator era as divine punishment. Apocalyptic movements could spread fear, convincing people that humanity's end was imminent. Governments might struggle to maintain order under the constant pressure of survival. Art and culture would reflect humanity's fear of its new predators. Movies, books, and music would become darker, obsessed with survival and primal fears. Education would pivot toward teaching tracking, hiding, building shelters, and emergency medical treatment. New sports could emerge, focused on endurance, agility, and predator evasion skills. Virtual reality training programs would simulate predator encounters to prepare citizens for attacks. Technology would evolve rapidly to aid survival: exoskeletons, personal defense drones, stealth wearables. Despite the darkness, humanity's resilience would shine through like it always has. Underground communities could develop secret survival networks, sharing knowledge and safe zones. Inventors would create clever traps and deterrents to reclaim wilderness territory step by step. Some brave individuals might even attempt to befriend or tame the predators. Training apex predators for protection or even companionship would become a risky frontier. Mythical stories of beast tamers would capture the imaginations of desperate survivors everywhere. Over decades, natural selection would pressure humanity to adapt or be wiped out. The slow would perish, the clever would thrive, and society would transform forever. Humans might become nocturnal, highly mobile, and highly territorial like their predator rivals. Language would evolve too, with new words for specific predator threats and survival strategies. Maps would no longer chart only cities and rivers but predator territories and safe zones. Wearing camouflage, moving silently, and reading tracks would become everyday essential skills. Birth rates might plummet as survival becomes too dangerous for raising children. Small family units would live in tightly guarded compounds or underground bunkers. Love, friendship, and trust would be luxuries in a world ruled by fear. Some philosophers might argue that this was nature's way of restoring balance. That humans, after centuries of dominating the earth, were finally paying their dues. Others would cling to hope, believing humanity could rise stronger from the ashes. Governments could fall and rise in waves as survival replaces ideology or wealth. Old systems like democracy or capitalism might give way to tribal councils and warlords. Survival would depend on loyalty, strength, wisdom, and adaptability above all else. Would humanity band together to reclaim their safety, or fragment into isolated groups? Would compassion survive, or would primal fear reduce us to selfish creatures once again? In this brutal future, history books would look very different. Instead of kings and generals, the heroes would be hunters, survivors, and scouts. Great achievements would be measured not in inventions, but in years survived without attack. Still, amidst all this darkness, sparks of hope would remain. Some communities would discover ways to coexist peacefully with predators, respecting boundaries. Others might domesticate new predator species, forging new alliances never before imagined. Perhaps humanity would learn humility, realizing that dominance is never truly permanent. That survival requires respect, for nature, for life, and for the power of adaptation. If humans became prey, it wouldn't just be a nightmare, it would be a rebirth. A chance to evolve not only physically, but mentally, spiritually, and socially. A chance to rediscover the raw, unbreakable will to survive against impossible odds. Because if there's one thing history proves, humans are survivors, no matter the cost. We may fall, but we always find a way to rise again. Thanks for exploring this chilling possibility with us today. Subscribe for more wild what-if journeys into the deepest human fears and hopes. Stay prepared, stay strong, and remember, nature always finds a way.